Hi, I'm Chris Cook from 3M and welcome to 3M Tech Tips. In our previous video, we saw how we can use cold stretch techniques to evenly distribute stretch across the whole surface of the film. This time, we're going to do almost exactly the opposite and look at how we can use heat to actually place the stretch in a very specific location. So when we're heating and stretching the film, we'll find that the film will tend to stretch the most from wherever it's hottest. So where we put the heat is where the film will stretch. Now sometimes we can use that effect to our advantage. And a good example of that is the recesses on vans. Just as an example, we've got this van door here, and you can see that it's got quite a good sort of step down in the panel there. So we have this recessed area that we need to work the film down into. Now I've got a piece of film applied across that recess. We've got it tacked down along the bottom edge there and tacked down along the top. So I've got quite a nice bridge of film across the recess to work with. Now there's a couple of approaches I could take here. I could heat the film down in this area here, right on the recess, and then push it down into the recess. But if I do it that way, all of the stretch will come from that part of the film, which is right in the recess. So all of that stretch and all of that stress will be in the recess, which means that over time it's going to tend to shrink back and pull back out of the recess. An alternate approach is to actually put the heat up here, away from the recess. Then when I work the film into the recess, the stretch that I need is going to come from this part of the film, which is going to end up on the flat panel. And because it's on the flat panel, even if there is some stretch or stress there, it's not going to lift. And our film that's in the recess has minimal stretch and is more likely to stay down. So let's heat the film and stretch it into the recess, but I'm going to be very conscious of only directing the heat into these two very specific areas. Now because I've used a piece of vinyl that has this grid pattern printed on it, we can see really clearly where the vinyl has stretched. And if I look at this area here, where we place the heat on the film that goes down into the recess, I can really clearly see that that grid pattern of squares has really opened up. I can see quite a significant amount of stretch right in the corner of that recess. So all of our stretch right in the recess. Whereas when I compare that to this side, where we place the heat up high on the flat part of the panel, the squares that are in the recess really haven't changed shape. So that's telling me that there's almost no stretch in the recess itself. And I can see a tiny bit of distortion in the lines up here on the flat part of the panel. So it's telling me that we were successful there, that we've actually kept the stretch away from that critical area of the recess and put it up here on the flat panel where it's not really going to cause us any problems. So you can really see a clear difference between those two approaches when we do a close-up side-by-side comparison, noticing the difference in the size and shape of those squares between the two parts of the recess. So remember, you do have control over the location of the stretch in the film because you have control over where you heat the film. And we should always be thinking about, can we heat the film in a location so that we keep the stretch in a place that's not going to cause any longer term problems with our wrap, and that we keep it away from those critical areas like recesses and the edges of our panels. Now, we're always keen to hear any questions that you have or any suggestions for future video topics. So please head over to our Facebook page and leave a comment there. The link is in the description below. But as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.